I'm literally the backbone of my family, okay? And what I mean by that is,
Say how's the fam?
what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to How's the Fam, your podcast about family, friends, and growth. And you guys, it's your boy, it's me, it's Tyler. And Keisha's taking a break. Keisha's usually my co-host, my lovely wife, and today I am rocking the podcast solo. So today I'm actually going to be talking about being present as a father. I'm going to be talking about just your health and how health actually is wealth. I mean, it sounds cliche, but it's true, right? And then I'm also just going to wrap up kind of how Valentine's Day went since, it's a relationship podcast and Valentine's Day is low key a relationship, quote unquote, holiday, right? And so if that sounds good to you, please stick around and enjoy today's episode, okay? And right into it, y'all, being present as a father. I kind of get why fatherhood is so difficult, man. Like, it's crazy. I was watching this show called Keenan. That's right, Keenan Thompson from Keenan and Kel. Who loves orange soda? Kel loves that Keenan and Kel, right? And Keenan, he's on SNL and all this other stuff, but he finally got a sitcom, right? And in his sitcom, he had a scene. I think it's literally the last episode. There was a episode about him and his brother, right? And how he, as the oldest brother, was kind of like pushing the envelope. He had the opportunity to discover what he loved. He had the opportunity to sharpen his craft and get good at what he loved so that as an adult, he could excel in it, right? And there was a flashback scene where his mom was talking to the younger brother. And he was like, hey, like, your brother is about to go off and do this incredible thing. You don't have to follow him. Like, you have to step into your own path, right? And I was just like, that's so interesting, right? Because I look at my own life and I'm like, the reason I did a lot of the things that I did is because my brother low-key paved the way. Like, he was the pioneer for like manhood, boyhood, all these other different things, right? And so like me deciding to become an engineer was low-key me following in my brother's footsteps. Me deciding to play soccer was me following in my brother's footsteps. Like me doing push-ups every night, sit-ups every night, reading books, taking vitamins, things like that. Those are all things that my own brother modeled in his life. And I low-key was a mirror and I did the same thing in my life, right? And so I'm looking at that like, siblings model each other, right? And as a father, my oldest, I have to give her the opportunity to blossom, but I also have to guide my second born in a way to where she becomes her own person and not just a shadow of her older sister, right? And here's the crazy thing, like, you would think this is a very simple thing to accomplish, but it's been low-key more difficult than I thought. And the very first thing Keisha and I decided to try was taking them to school at different times. Like, in our world, our daughters literally spend, like, our second and our firstborn, they spend almost every minute together except for when they're in school. And so our drop off would be me waking up extra early, waking them both up at the same time, getting them dressed at the same time, brushing their teeth at the same time, all these different things in the car, driving, drop the oldest off, then drop the youngest, head to work, right? And then my wife would drop, and they all spend this time together, right? But now, the way that we're trying to be intentional about low-key letting her be her own person is I will wake up early, and I will only wake up the oldest, the firstborn, and I will get her ready for school, and I'll only her ready for school. I'll let the secondborn sleep, and that alone has been it's been yielding so many results in their lives. Because what I was afraid of, I hit up one of my homegirls. She's a speech pathologist, and I was just like, hey man, like, my secondborn isn't talking well enough to where I'm confident in her ability to actually talk. And she was like, it's common for kids to not be able to pronounce certain words. Like, L's are difficult. And, she knows her stuff. Actually, I'm going to have her on the podcast one of these days. And she was like, don't worry about it. It's going to be all good. Just make sure that she's pronouncing the words the way that she's supposed to pronounce words. I was like, bet. And so with me taking Liana, my firstborn, off to school earlier, it gives my secondborn the opportunity to spend time with Keisha, right? And in the time that she's spending with Keisha has been telling me like, yo, like, Melanie's having conversations. I was like, really? And she's like, yeah. It's like she's having full-fledged sentences, full I call it back and forth, right? Like it's a conversation, a real back and forth. I talk, you talk, and then based off of what you said, I have a response. And she's like, she's doing it. And previously, she would do it, but not to the extent where I was like satisfied that she was okay, you know? And here's the thing, like as a parent, and especially as a father, sometimes I do take things a little too far. I'll be like, hey, it's like my daughter, she was walking and she fell. I don't understand why she fell. Is something wrong? And it's not like I'll take it to the doctor, but I will keep an extra eye on it. And also I'll remember it for like the future, right? Because like it's the little stuff like that that is like signs for crazy stuff. But again, it's just me taking it too far. But what we found is by separating them at certain times of the day, we have had opportunity to kind of just see who our second born truly is, right? And like they were like different TV shows, and we're starting to kind of lean into that. Like if she likes this show, you watch that show. If you like this show, you can watch this show. Yeah, I don't have to always watch the same TV shows. And that, like the Keenan episode of the mother trying to pretty much separate the two and be like, yo, just because your brother has this spiritual gift doesn't mean that you do. Like, you have to be your own person. I don't want you to grow up with regret, that type of thing. We're trying to implement it early so that we can see some of those benefits in their lives, right? Now, another thing is like my oldest, she's learning how to read, right? Like actually read. And it's crazy because like the data always pointed to you need to teach your kids phonics, right? We learned the ABCs like A, B, C, D. You know, you sing the song, all this other stuff. But kids nowadays like A for apple, apple. And they just kind of go through the letters like that. So our daughter, she's been in all these phonics-based learning places, right? And she knows phonics very well. And she's able to know what the letters are going to sound like. And that helps. It really does. But she has a character flaw that comes directly from me. And it's a simple fact. It's this. Like, I don't like to fail. And as a result, when I'm in a failing situation, I will find myself like either extremely frustrated towards like, you know what, forget it all. I ain't doing none of it. Or I'll find myself in a situation where I'm literally just trying to ignore the problem. Like I'll get frustrated or I try to ignore the problem. And I see my daughter literally going down the same path. And it breaks my heart because as an adult, I see the character flaw. I've been dealing with it my entire life. I have steps in place, people in place to prevent me from falling into my own trap, my own character flaw traps. But there's nothing I can do for my own daughter. And it breaks my heart. It's like I could talk to her all I want. I can fail in front of her and she can register as, oh, daddy's failing, but he's still doing it. But in the moment, when the frustration truly hits, she is not satisfied with her end result. And there's not much I can do when she's that frustrated, right? At first I was like, yo, let's take a break. Let's get away from the table. But she sees me do stuff all the time, whether it be engineering stuff at home, whether it be video editing, playing video games, whatever. And she sees me get frustrated and not give up. And she's like, I'm not giving up. And it's like, man, as much as not giving up is a great thing, there are times where you do need to take a tactical break, right? A tactical retreat. It's like, yeah, we could deal with this when we have a fresh mind, fresh body. And I can't teach. I'm trying to teach her that. I'm trying to pour into her, but she hasn't fully accepted that pouring yet, right? And so Keisha's kind of working with her now, and it's just a tag team effort. But this reading thing is real, right? And here's the thing. Just because she has that major character flaw that I have, she also has the same strength. When it comes to math, my daughter is a whiz. You feel me? Addition, subtraction, multiplication. I haven't figured out how to teach her division. But she's so young that it's like, hey, if you got this big of a head start in terms of mathematics, right? And here's the thing. That's like money math. Multiplication, addition, subtraction, division. She can count money and all this other. I'm extremely satisfied with her money, math skills, and just math skills in general. It's just the reading, right? And here's a problem. Like, I get people be like, oh, it's the public education system. They're just trying to, man, this ain't even the education system thing. Everybody in a functioning society, you need to learn how to read. Need is a strong word. I would say reading is essential for certain success, right? And also accounting and math are essential for certain success too. Now, are there exceptions to the rule? Yeah, of course. There are exceptions, without a doubt. But the people who are able to read and the people who are able to do math tend to have, an edge over somebody who cannot do one or the other. So being a father, watching my daughter deal with that, watching her seeing my flaws and seeing my strengths in my daughter, it's been enlightening. It's been a journey. It makes me want to talk to my parents a little more, because you realize, like, man, it's like ain't nothing new under the sun. Just because I'm dealing with it now doesn't mean that they didn't deal with it back in the day. And it makes you really appreciate, like, having your parents in your life, right? Just having the resources, been there, done that, like having the same blood that's pumping in you from them, is just being like, yo, man, family lineage wise, like, how do we break this, right? Or did you deal with it when you saw that in me? And it's been eye opening, right? And also, like, this on this fatherhood tip, I guess I'll end it, the fatherhood part, like this. Like, I'm literally the backbone of my family, okay? And what I mean by that is, it's not the financial piece, because at first I was like, yo, when I first got married, it was just like, yo, provide. As long as I'm providing, of value to my family, right? And then it was just like, you know what? As long as I'm able to, like, support them in terms of, like, their being able to talk to them and being able to hear them out and be that shoulder to cry on, I am supporting my family, right? And then now it's culminated to something that's a lot more advanced, something that I can't really pinpoint in words, even though I guess I'll try, right? If I don't show up as my best self, my family doesn't operate at the highest level that it possibly can. And on one hand, it's like, obviously, if you're part of the family and you're not at a high level, the family ain't operating optimally. That's not exactly. If I show up any less than my best, then the people that I love the most, my family, my 3 daughters, and my wife, low-key suffer, right? And the reason I know this is because, like, I had back trouble for the majority of January, right? There were things that I wanted to do in January, and I was just like, yo, this is the evolution. This is the revolution. Like, I don't know why I just rhyme, like, it just, I don't know. Regardless, I was like, there were things I wanted to do in January, like my small group with my church, like the things with the youth. There were things I wanted to kick off, and I literally could not do it because I don't know, like, it's this bed back here, right? This is actually a new mattress. This mattress ain't gonna be here come next video, but yeah, my mattress failed me. Like, I woke up and I had like a very intense, sharp pain in my back, to the point where it was like every other step was exceptionally painful. Like, I couldn't really bend over and tie my shoes. I was having a hard time standing still, like just standing on both feet and balancing on both feet. I could lean on one foot and be okay, but as soon as I put any pressure on the other foot, like, the pain would just shoot up my spine. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't turn over in my sleep. I had a hard time sitting down. It was bad. Okay. And the only relief that I had was, like, if I had a heat pad or something and I put a heat pad on it, I was cool with that. And, like, the moment I realized I needed to get help was I was in the car and I parked at work, and one of my coworkers was like, he was watching me get out the car, and he was like, dang, man, it's like, you get out the car like my granddad. And keep in mind, my coworker wasn't young. I was just like, dang, that's bad. Because it would take me some time to get out the bed, and not out the bed, out the car. Because, again, I had this sharp pain in my back. And I was just like, you know what? Like, let me talk to a few people. Like, let's figure out what's going on. I know I didn't want to take any drugs or anything, so I ended up going to a chiropractor. And the chiropractor was like, yeah, what you got is like a muscle imbalance. It's like, you probably, I played soccer again. I think I mentioned that earlier in the episode. And in playing soccer, you have a plant foot, you have like the pivot foot, and he was like, you've been planting and pivoting so long that like your spine is doing this kind of thing right here, and like even just this slight shift right here in combination with the bad mattress, it's like you just got too much pressure on one side. So you literally just like realign that. And like literally, as soon as he did it, and it made me mad because I could have gotten help so much sooner. Again, character flaw, right? I could have gotten help so much sooner. As soon as he did it, I was able to walk. And although I still felt pain, and I still feel pain now, I was able to walk and I was able to function. And I was like slowly but surely gaining more energy, gaining more momentum and things of that nature. To the point where like now, at least I'm 85% better. And I'm able to lift weights. And he was like, you lifting weights is definitely going to help strengthen like those back muscles and stuff like that. Because I took like almost a whole month off from doing physical activity. Like I've gained weight from not seeking out help with my back. And so now I got to deal with pretty much the cause and effect of that. And that just goes back to what I initially talked about. It was like, your health is your wealth, right? And money can only solve money problems, right? Again, I say it one more time, money can only solve money problems. And what I mean by that is, like, let's say your parents died, right? The pain that you feel, money cannot solve, right? Or let's say that you got like a certain diagnosis, or like your back, like me, your back is hurting, right? It's like, on one hand, you're like, yeah, you can throw money at the problem and hopefully you get something out of it. But at the end of the day, there are certain problems that money cannot solve, right? And that's why your health is your wealth. Like being healthy allows you to have a higher level of actual wealth. And what I mean by wealth in this point is like your spiritual, not spirit, yeah, pretty much your spiritual inheritance, right? The wealth that's internal, right? It's like the wealth of knowledge, the wealth of being healthy, the wealth of being able to bend down and pick up your child, the wealth of being able to walk to your family members, give them a hug, right? Your health is your wealth. Like being able to do these things, it's funny. Like there's a guy on Instagram. He had posted a reel. He was just like, if you're able to breathe through both of your nostrils, just nod your head and just be grateful. Be grateful that you have your health. And it's true, right? But nobody truly appreciates being healthy until you're in a situation where you're unhealthy, right? Nobody truly appreciates being in a loving relationship, right? Until you're in a situation where you feel unloved. Man, I'm just happy that I'm able to have that back. Another thing that I realize is you're only as healthy as your environment allows. Like low key, I'm in an environment where people are like, yo, Tyler, so what's wrong with you? You like, why are you walking like that? And like people literally showed concern, and through them showing concern, they were able to kind of pour into me and be like, hey man, you should try out like a chiropractor, or you should try out these stretches, or you should try alternating hot, alternate cold. And through them doing that, it's like I was able to find relief. Even if the initial things were just temporary, I was able to find enough relief to where it's like I could enjoy certain aspects of life, right? Your environment, you can only be as healthy as your environment allows. Like consider the foods that you eat, right? Like there are certain places, like actually the place that I live, when I initially moved here, there was just new constructions like all around. It's like people building houses here, building houses there. Like the contractors and stuff, they'd be like, hey, it's like they're building a Walmart down the street. Or then they'd be like, hey, and they're building a McDonald's there. And then they're building a Jack in the Box over there. I was just like, yo, it's like, why y'all building all these fast food places? Like, why we can't get a Chipotle? Like, we can't get any healthier food options, right? And so the way that they built this particular area, even though it looks nice on the surface, we have to actually travel out to get nicer foods, right? Like, and not that Walmart's food is bad, right? Like, Walmart's food is good as long as you're getting the good stuff. But most of the stuff in Walmart, it's low-key a honey trap, right? It's like, yeah, it looks good on the front end, but on the back end, you're going to have to pay at some point. Like, there's a price to be paid where you're putting your desserts right next to your fruits and stuff like that, right? And also, it doesn't matter how good, how strong your will is every once in a while, if you're going to constantly be tested at some point, you're going to fail. and your boy, I be failing. Y'all know how much I like to eat desserts. I'm a dessert fiend. You feel me? But back to the topic at hand. So yeah, we have to actually travel out to get like good fast food, right? If you're gonna get fast food, and like pretty much what I do, since I live so far away, I'm able to pick up some of the healthier options. Like I work next to a Whole Foods. Like I pass like 8 or 9 different healthier choices on the way home, right? So if we don't feel like we're in the mood to cook, we're not limited to where we are. Like, we can get some healthier food options. But your environment definitely dictates to the level of health that you're in. Like think about somebody in not the best relationship, right? They can't feel true mental health, right? What do you call it? True mental health. That doesn't sound right. That sentence sounded weird. I don't know what it is, but they can't. It's harder to love yourself when you're in an environment where people don't love you, right? It's harder to walk every single day, right? Or to do some physical activity every single day when you're not seeing people around you do that physical activity every single day. But on the contrary, let's say you are in an area where everybody walks and you see people walking their dogs, you see people walking together, you see people riding bikes. You are more likely to get up, go outside, and indulge in some of those activities, right? Because your health, is up to the level of your environment. I feel like I overstated that one, but facts are facts. Now, the pay now or pay it later thing, I think I just touched on that let's say you eat a dessert today, right? And, the crazy thing is, like, I'm in my 30s now, so it's like the things I used to do in my teens, I still feel like I could do now, but I'm definitely seeing that I cannot, right? And it's a matter of that if you're gonna do something and it makes you happy on the front end in terms of food, like if I eat a dessert or if I eat some fried chicken, just bet on the back end I'm gonna feel some of that. And it's not that it's a bad thing, right? Because like you can enjoy your chicken, right? But everything in moderation. You can't eat chicken every single day, right? In fact, I don't even think I can eat chicken every single week anymore, because what I realize is like if I eat too much fried foods, like I started building like a congestion up, right? And it's kind of crazy because I remember, and if my homeboys listening, they gonna remember this too. Like before every football game, because we was in the band, before every football game, we'll go to Wendy's. Oh no, was it Wendy's or was it? No, it wasn't Wendy's. We would go to Dairy Queen. Shout out if you know Dairy Queen. We get the burger. They call it the flamethrower. And we get the flamethrower with fries and a drink. And we would go get that. We'd listen to T-Pain and my Dodge Dakota on the way to get the burger. We get our burger, eat there, and then go back to the band hall. Good times, man. They don't even sell the flamethrower. Ain't even on the menu no more. But it is what it is. But I could do that, and I didn't have to deal with the ramifications of eating the jalapenos, eating the fries, and drinking the soda, right? Not only did I do it, but we would go out there, we would march and do the whole game thing and all this other stuff. And, I was in incredible shape back then. So I was like, it ain't nothing for somebody in shape to do some band stuff, right? But now, let's say I were to do the same thing. Let's say I were to find a flamethrower and I were to eat that burger with jalapenos on it, right? Not only that, I was to eat all the fries and I was to get a Sprite, which I don't even really drink carbonated drinks like that no more. But let's say I was to get the Sprite. And then I was just to walk around the block. Man, I might pass out by the time I get back home. If I ate all that stuff and then immediately went for a walk, it'd be a whole wrap. But it's just because if you're gonna do something, you're either gonna pay on the front end or you're gonna pay on the back end. If it's something that makes you truly, truly happy in the front end, sometimes you're gonna have to pay for it on the back end. On the contrary, maybe you already paid it forward. Like maybe you already put the work in. So if you've already put the work in, then you're already on the back end, so you can go ahead and enjoy it. Regardless, whether you pay now or pay later, whether you've already paid it before, at some point a price has to be paid. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. And I'm gonna end it out with Valentine's Day. And I'm just gonna let y'all know my side of Valentine's Day. So interestingly enough, I actually started planning out my content for Valentine's Day in January. My back was hurting, so I didn't finish all the videos. Whatever. It is what it is. But I came up with this training. It was called the Perfect Picker, right? And I do consider myself a perfect picker for gifts, right? Especially for people I don't know. Now, I am a perfect picker for gifts for people I don't know. That does not mean I'm a perfect picker for gifts in my own family. Now, the kids, easy, super easy. Flowers, candy, good to go, right? Or a balloon, candy, good to go. Which, that's exactly what I did. And pro tip for the people who do have kids, one of the things that you could do if your kids are like in middle school or high school, right? You can actually hit up the high school, give them an anonymous gift. You can do two. You can do one from daddy, one anonymous gift. You just give that to them. It costs like not a lot at all, and it brings a smile to their face. Super cool, right? And then later on in life, you can be like, oh yeah, I used to give you all of those. And they'd be like, no, you didn't. It's like, yes, I did, because your daddy loves you. But this is a pro tip. But yeah, I do consider myself a perfect picker, and I picked a gift, and it flowed pretty decent. But honestly, I don't think it's about the gifts that you give. I think it's about the story that you present while giving the gift, right? And that's actually where I messed up. I was supposed to I had the whole presentation kind of planned out, but so many things went wrong. All right. It's like the flowers for my wedding. Like, we have a local florist, right? And I hit her up. I was like, yo, you know, a florist in the area. I want to give you some business. And like, can you do these flowers? She's like, that's going to be kind of tough. This, that, and other. I was like, well, if you can't do it, just let me know. But I would like these flowers. Lo and behold, she was able to do it. And I've paid a premium, like $80 for those flowers, because it was like out of season and all this other stuff, right? But you got to start early. And she sold my flowers before I got off of work. And I was just like, you kidding, right? And she was like, nah, I sold your flowers. All right. And I was like, yeah, that's crazy that you would do something like that. You realize you just lost a customer forever. I'm never coming back. On top of that, I bought Keisha these drinks. I got her the Kobe editions of the Body Armors, because we like to drink those Body Armor joints. They good, man. You like what you like. So we got her the Body Armor. I got her the Body Armor, the Kobe edition. She loves the Lakers. She loves Kobe. Obviously, what happened, and I knew she'd like that. So I had the flowers. I had the thing, and then I was like, I was gonna get her the flowers, but the flowers didn't work out. Ended up getting her perfume because if you're gonna spend $80 and you're getting your $80 back, and you might as well get somebody something like nice that's gonna last for a long time. So I ended up getting her perfume, but the perfume that I wanted to get her was sold out, and because she wants like a grown woman fragrance. And I was like, I did my research. I kind of smelled something around. I talked to a few people. And I was like, well, apparently these three are the grown woman fragrance. I called Ulta Beauty to reserve it, but they were like, oh, yeah, you can only reserve for 2 hours. I ended up staying late at work. So all the things considered, I didn't generate I didn't even go through my own playbook that I created. Each piece that I wanted to give Keisha was supposed to have a story. And what ended up happening was I was like, here, take it all. I'm tired. Like, this is your stuff. And she actually did an incredible job because she bought me tacos. And real talk, that's all I ever be wanting. Like, even when I was a kid, Keisha bought me these honey buns one time. And I was like, I love that woman. I was like, oh, love her. And it was just honey buns, bro. Like, but, she know the way to my heart. And she bought me a lot of tacos too. And then she hit me with I was like, baby, you gonna finish that? She's like, nah, you can have it. Oh, my heart. I felt like the Grinch. She grew 3 sizes too big. But that was Valentine's Day in a nutshell. And here's the thing, like, Valentine's Day ain't a real holiday. And low-key, I got to do better throughout the year anyway. So, it's okay that I didn't just knock it out the park. The gift giving stuff that I gave the people on Instagram, the gift giving stuff I'm giving you guys right now, it's stuff that you're supposed to do periodically throughout the year. Anytime you give a gift, make sure there's a story behind it. Tell the story, get other people involved. I promise you, you will knock it out the park every single time if you're able to do that. But you got to be a perfect presenter. You can't be a perfect picker without being a perfect presenter, right? So next year, I will be getting this stuff in hand early. Now, I'm not going to even wait for the day. In hand early. And that's how Valentine's Day went. So we've already talked about fatherhood at the very beginning. Then we talked about health as well. We're ending it with Valentine's Day. You guys, every episode ends with this segment we call Words of Encouragement, okay? Before we do Words of Encouragement, if you're watching YouTube, please like this, subscribe, and let me know what you want us to talk about in the future. And if you're listening to the podcast version, subscribe to the podcast and leave us a 5-star review. You know, man, it helps. And last but not least, share the podcast with somebody who would appreciate what was said, okay? Now, the words of encouragement I have for the people is you got to invest in yourself. All right. Yeah, I looked at my notes. You got to invest in yourself because you are worth it. Right. And it's funny because like a lot of us hear that it's like, you're worth it. You're worth it. You're worth it. But in investing in yourself, and we don't exactly know how. So here's some tangible things that you can take to the bank that can 100% improve you. Right. First thing being, read a book. It's that simple. Read a book, cover to cover, something that you've always wanted to read about on a topic that interests you, right? And then after you've read that book, actually apply what was said in that book to your life, right? Talk about it with other people. And as you talk about it with other people and engage in conversations, they'll have a book recommendation. You pick up that book and you continue on that train. Because reading, like reading and learning are addictive, right? The next thing, change the environment of people that you're associating with, right? Literally just have an idea of who you want to become and find people who have already achieved some level of that and learn from them. Like literally learning through association. This is a real thing, right? There are people who go to college who are like, when they first get to college, like just an average run-of-the-mill type of dude. And then when they graduate, it's like, they walk, they talk different. It's because they were in a different environment. And your environment can literally drive you to new heights. But it can also push you down to new lows, right? So find an environment of people that you kind of that you kind of want to aspire to. And you rock that out. Like you rock it. You get around them as often as you can. You engage in conversations with those people as often as you can. And then lastly is you need to find a mentor, right? If you're able to find a mentor, it's one of the best investments that you can have in yourself, right? A mentor is somebody who's been there, done that, and can literally show you the path, right? They can literally lighten the yellow brick road to your success. And again, if it costs you a little money along the road, just know investing in yourself is 100% worth it, right? Having a tangible skill, right? Having a skill is it's worth it. Like having a skill will again propel you to new heights. And invest in yourself because you are worth it. You guys, thank you for listening to How's the Fam. If you made it all the way this far, I love you. I appreciate you. And hey, man, you heard it here on How's the Fam. Y'all be blessed.